What is good, y'all? Welcome to Let's Cap. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang from Wagertalk.com and themoneyballer.com. Got my guy Munaf here with me today to break down some MLB games. This weekend didn't do too well. I think yesterday was the losing day. I went 0-2 personally. Tough late losses. Both games that I had runs given up in the seventh and eighth inning to get the L's, but hopefully you had a better Sunday than me. How was your weekend?
Yeah, Saturday wasn't too bad, RC. That one came out profitable. Sunday, I had one bet yesterday. It was the Red Sox on the money line, and that one wasn't even close. Just a couple angles looking for them to avoid the sweep against the Astros, and then on Sundays, just in particular, I think they're one of the more profitable teams. Just overall, so I was going for that angle. It just didn't get there. I mean, the Astros are just swinging a really hot bat right now.
Yeah,
But yeah, they ended up sweeping him over the weekend. But yeah, I only had one bet yesterday, so not too much was lost.
gotcha. Yeah, my losses were Atlanta. I had Atlanta on the run line. They were up
Hmm.
what 5 runs, 6 runs.
Yeah, that's
That
probably one
was
of the
crazy.
tough
And
beats
then
of the week, or
I
maybe
had
the
also
season.
had the Dodgers on the run line as well. They gave up a couple runs in the end of I think the eighth inning. Ended up getting the win, but the run line was what I bet. So, two L's there. Well, with that said, man, hopefully we bounce back today, or at least for me. Well, yeah, you said 0-1. So, yeah, both of us
Yeah.
bounce back today. Let's get into the slate here. I'll share my screen. And all right, we got the moneybar.com here. First game up. I think we wanted to kind of just go with that first game. I actually took this game. I did take the Cubs on the money line. I'm not sure what your thoughts were on this one yet, but let's just dive into it real quick. So we got Imanaga and Lively here. Cubs with a +6 rating system. For the MLB rating system, we have a couple of situational notes that back the Cubs here. Rest advantage. Also, first game of a road non-divisional series on at least a two-game winning streak, so taking advantage of some momentum right there. And then we see the last five starts for Imanaga. Had a decent one in his last start against Minnesota. Struggled here against the Cardinals. Gave up 2 home runs. Actually, given up 4 home runs. Four straight games with at least one home run
Mhm.
given up. If we look towards the walks here, he has his control there. Only zero point 0.6 walks per in the last five, on average in the last five starts. If we look at Lively, he missed his last two starts, and one thing that we did talk about, or last two, potentially scheduled starts, is the rhythm, right? If they miss their start, and their cadence, they kind of get off rhythm, and that was one thing that I was looking at too. If you look at the previous three starts, did give up a couple home runs. There's you could see the walks there, and also, he's been limiting the runs. So that's one thing that's been really good. But I think with the control and the home runs given up, there could be some negative regression there. And if we look at Imanaga here, 17-4 straight up in the starts there for the Cubs. Whenever Imanaga starts, 5-1 as road favorites. Here you see Lively 12-8. This is the first time as a home dog here, even though it's just a slight home dog. But as a dog in general, 2-4 straight up. Slight leans towards the under. You can see a lot of the Reds here on the splits by starter. If we look at splits by right-handed versus left-handed pitchers, you can see here Guardians versus left-handed pitchers on the season has been really good.
Hmm.
But one thing that we that I want to look at is recent form, right? So if we look at last 30 days in that situation, it's not as great. It just sort of towards like the middle of the pack, 4-3-1, 5-3. Even at the home dog situation, 0-1. So nothing great there. You can see in the last 30 days, 4-0 for Imanaga. And then if you look at the batting stats in the last 30 days, you can see there's a pretty significant advantage for the Cubs when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. Look at the Guardians' barrel rate and hard hit rate.
Yeah.
That's towards the bottom of the league, if not last.
Yeah.
And then you can see all the advanced numbers with these strong red colors here pointing towards the bottom of the league. Last 30 days from a pitching perspective, this is where I think that you could either look at the first five too, if you wanted to just kind of focus in on that. look at Lively's ERA to FIP and XFIP. There's a significant um, negative regression right there. That's about a 2 run
Mhm.
gap. And then you can see here, not a strikeout pitcher, fly ball pitcher here, giving up 2 home runs per 9. And if you look at um, the bullpen, it is, I mean, when you look from a WAR perspective, pretty similar, but both of them kind of looking towards negative regression. So, but I feel like both are pretty solid, anyways. Regardless, right? Both bullpens have been pretty solid. So really want to take advantage of the starting pitcher matchup and the offense, and take this cheap price on Imanaga. What are your thoughts on this one, Muna?
Yeah, everything or a lot of things you said, RC, make sense. Especially Cleveland has just been struggling over the last, I don't know, 30 days, like you mentioned, even more than that. Just scoring runs. I know the first, what was it, Friday? You and I were talking about taking the Twins in that doubleheader in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
first
yeah.
game. That
We
one
took
got
the
there
first one.
easily.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they just aren't able to score runs. I know they came back over the weekend and evened up the series, but even then they didn't score a whole heck of a lot of runs in those games. I want to say it was like a 2-1 victory against the Twins in one of those games, and then I think
Hmm.
Sunday was where they opened it up a little bit. But the numbers for Imanaga are just too it's just too much to ignore. He's
Hmm.
been really, really good. Not only on the road, but just overall on the season where he started for the Cubs. And
Hmm.
just over the last week, I think that the Guardians are below sorry, they're like I want to say bottom three as far as like most advanced offensive statistical categories, like you talked about against left-handed pitching here. And I think the line has also moved in favor of the Cubs here. I want to say I started around minus 117 earlier, starting to see a move up to the range of minus 125. So it seems like money's coming in on the Cubs here. So yeah, I think that may just be the side here for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah. So one more thing that I wanted to point out. So in that favorite role for Imanaga,
Mm-hmm.
the Cubs 14-2 straight up. This is the reason why I kind of stayed off of the first five right here, because even in these situations where they're winning, that first five average actually points towards the opposite side. I think they want to take advantage of the bullpen as well.
Yep.
We did look at some of those bullpen numbers, but if you look at him as a road favorite, specifically like what we were talking about, 5-1 straight up, and you can see that kind of switches. But I do want to also just continue to take advantage of their bullpen, because I feel like they've been really solid lately.
Yeah.
So that's that part right there. The only loss they had was against the Brewers, and a lot of the runs in this 2.83 or whatever, or the 1.67 came from that game, because
Yeah.
you could see 1-1-0-2 and 3 for their
Mm-hmm.
opponents in all the other ones that they won.
Yep.
So if the Cubs win this game, it's going to be mainly because maybe the Guardians just struggle to score runs, right? And one more
What's the
thing
total
to,
on the game? 8?
I believe it's 8. Yeah, 8. Would you look towards the under?
I was yeah, either under or maybe like a Guardians team total under. I think
Guardians team
maybe
total.
worth a
Yeah,
look, right?
that was the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guardians team total under. So if I look at team equals, we just kind of look at the more recent games here. They've actually been pretty solid, right? But if you look at them as a dog, their team total is most of the time it's been pretty low in recent form, right? 2, 3. They
Mm-hmm.
did have a 4 here, but for the most part, they were kind of struggling against these starting left-handed pitchers to get runs, even though they're winning. The amount of runs that they're scoring isn't that great.
Yep.
So let's. I took the Cubs on the money line. That's the way that I went with this one, back in Shota. What was the other game we were looking at? Oh shoot, I forgot to put the banner.
I
Oh,
know we were
Astros.
talking about yeah, Astros.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on this one? I know you had some kind of lean in this one initially.
Yeah, I was looking at the Astros side here. If you just kind of look at Framber Valdez's form over the last, I think it goes back 6 or 7 straight games the Astros have won
Mhm.
when he started for the Astros. I know he's coming off. The only part that's kind of giving me pause, number one, is the line, and I believe the last start RC was the one where he was 1 out away
From
from
the
the
no
no
hitter.
hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Corey Seager hit a home run, but
Mhm.
um if you just take a look at Framber's numbers on the road, just how well the Astros have performed, I think it's really overwhelming not to ignore it. And I think that for them coming out of that series against the Red Sox, or the way they were swinging their bat, especially Jordan Alvarez, I think there's a good opportunity for them to
Mhm.
get game one here. Something similar to what we saw the Yankees do, where they started building some momentum. Same thing I think with the I forgot who they played last weekend, and that team just went on a run as well. But I'm not sure how much we're going to get out of Taj Bradley, because if you look at his numbers and how many innings he's going, it's really inconsistent for me, where I know what I'm going
Yeah.
to get out of Framber Valdez. So it could be first five or full game here for Framber, or in the Astros, I should say. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, I think we were on the Miami side on this game after these three strong starts.
Hmm.
If I remember correctly, I think that's one of the games that we were looking at before in one of our previous shows. But if we dive into this one here, the rating system does like the Rays, and I think most of it is the bullpen.
Yeah.
This might be a situation where we probably look towards maybe a first five on the Astros side,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Um, if you look at the schedule, Astros have been on the road for a little bit. You're talking about the Rays here coming off that series against the Orioles. Framber Valdez, pretty decent start here in his last one, only 2 earned runs given up. Went 8 and 2/3, like you said, that one
Hmm.
game where he lost that no hitter
Yeah.
on the last out. Bradley kind of struggling the last two starts. I think maybe we kind of expected that with how he's been doing here.
Yeah.
But only went 4 and 2/3 in his last one, so he could be maybe have some you know maybe a little bit more fresh than we would expect, compared to his last couple of starts. But here's one thing you want to look at, like the first five, right? You look at Valdez, 11, 8, and 1 in the first five. But if you look at Bradley in the first five, 4, 10, and 2, it just seems like
Yeah.
he's not getting, maybe he's just not getting the run support, right? Like as a
Yeah.
home dog specifically, 0 and 3. As a dog in general, 2 and 8 straight up in that first five. If you look at the totals, a lot of things are kind of pointing towards the under.
Hmm.
Not sure if you look towards the total at all, but these are really pointing towards the under. Framber Valdez in the full game, 12, 6, and 2 to the under as a road favorite, 6, 0, and 1. Home dog here for Bradley, 3 and 0 to the under, 12 and 4 to the under in the full game overall. If you look towards the splits versus right-handed and left-handed pitchers, Rays have been pretty solid against left-handed pitchers. 3 1 and 1 in the first five, 4 and 1 on the full game. But let's see what the last 30 days have looked like.
And speaking to that, the under you're talking about, RC, Framber's 9 road starts he's made this season. They're 7-2 to the under, and then I think Taj Bradley at home has
Mhm.
been a very profitable angle towards the under as well. I think it's like 8-1 to the under, if I'm not. Yeah, eight and
Nice.
one to the under. So
Okay. Yeah, let's dive in. Maybe that's the way that we kind of tackle that then with the
yeah,
under. All right, so the left-handed pitcher numbers last 30 days not as great as the full season. This Look at that first five right here for the Astros versus right-handed pitchers. 13, 2, and 2 to the under.
hmm
All right, let's look at the batting. Uh, 3.6 and 3.8 runs per game. I mean, are they really struggling that much right now? Does
and
it
the only
seem?
part that scares me is that they it was, and it could be that the Red Sox pitching is bad, but
Mhm,
they were just putting up runs early and often in that series.
mhm.
But again, the Rays pitching and staff as a whole,
It's
heck of a lot
different. Yeah,
better
yeah,
than, yeah, it's completely different. We know that historically as well.
yeah. All right. So looking at the starting pitchers too, I mean, their numbers look really solid. I'm not seeing anything as far as like huge negative regression or anything like that from them either.
Hmm.
Rays bullpen really solid there. I mean, maybe some room for negative regression for the Astros from the bullpen perspective, but Valdez. I mean, do you think that he kind of has a shorter leash here today because of the 8 and 2/3 in
Which I
his
would
last
think
start?
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe he goes like 6, maybe 5 or 6 innings. That would just kind of lead us
yeah.
towards taking the first 5 for the Astros, or just taking the under. Um, Astros in particular, in first game of a series on the road, and their previous series was on the road as well. They're 7-2 to the under.
Another under. Okay. So I'm looking at Valdez right here. After in his career,
Hmm.
after he pitches 8 or more innings in his next start, um, 7-4 straight up. This season, one time 0-1. They did go over. They scored exactly 8, and that was against the Giants here.
Yeah, and that
Um,
was on the road, right?
yeah, that was on the road. All right, so if we look at him, season equals. You said on the road he's been pretty solid to the under two. Yeah,
On the road
7-2
in
and
particular,
1.
yeah, seven
Yeah,
and 7-2-1 or 7-2.
7-2 and 1. He went over by that's like one game that we just talked about. And then this game against the Mets, then they went up and over by a lot. But and then you said at home, Taj Bradley
8-1, I think, to the under.
8-1 to the under. First five under, struggling in the first five too.
They're not even scoring like 3 runs for him, like barely
Oh, that's
two.
crazy. I like this. I like this under right here. Astros Rays under 7.5. That's a solid look. And then I think from a side perspective, it'd probably be towards the first five Astros, if I was to pick a
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, I think like we talked it through, like all the numbers and trends and everything are pointing more towards the under rather than maybe a side here. But
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
All right, let's move. If you guys are in the chat, make sure you guys drop some games that you guys want to dive into. We have a shorter show today than normal. Probably cut out at 11:40. So if you guys want to dive into some games, specific games, just point them out in the chat, and we'll get to it. Is there any other games that you were looking at, Mina?
I know you and I were talking about the Yankees and the White Sox. I think the only look there would be probably team total over for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Even like the run line is at -205. Obviously, when you're going up against the White Sox. Curious to see what your thoughts are on Dodgers and Brewers.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the number, at least the total, was a little bit short. I think the Dodgers also get Mookie Betts back tonight, if I'm not mistaken, from what I read, that they activated him on Friday, that
Mhm.
he's going to be playing right field for them, but instead of shortstop now. But at least, getting that bat back, and Freddie Freeman returned earlier
Yeah.
last week. So I think that this could be a time where the Dodgers go on a run and maybe just run away with the NL West. But
Gotcha. Yeah, let's dive into that one. So Dodgers Brewers here. Short road favorites for the Dodgers. Kershaw versus Peralta. The rating system though does like the Brewers. It looks like the offense, but like you mentioned, Freeman coming back, Mookie, and all that stuff. That should affect the offensive numbers.
yeah,
We do have a baller system that backs the Dodgers here as well, so that's a profitable system on the season and within the last 5 years. First game on the road here for the Dodgers. Second series here at home for the Brewers. Offense struggled the last couple games, but before that, they're putting up a good chunk of runs here.
yeah, against Atlanta.
Yeah. If we look at Kershaw, kind of, I mean, had a good one here. Maybe I don't know when they're gonna kind of extend the leash here for Kershaw. At some
I
point,
don't think it's anytime soon, honestly.
you still think that there's a limit at or cap at maybe a five innings or so?
I think probably like 4 or 5 or maybe some type of pitch count. I just feel
Mhm.
like because their rotation has been just so beat up, they want to have these guys healthy for the playoffs.
Makes sense to me. Yeah. All right. So Peralta, I mean, he's been giving up a lot of home runs recently. So 5 home runs in his last 3 starts.
Yeah.
Only pitched 5 innings in his last one. Control is definitely an issue for him, even at 1.5 walks here versus the Marlins. If we let's look at full season trends first. So first five for Peralta, 9, 13, and 1, but full game 14 and 9. So his bullpen keeping keeping them on the win side for the full game. Overs on the full game here too, 16 and 7 to the over. If you look at splits versus right and left-handed pitchers versus righties, first five pretty strong here for the Dodgers. 46, 31, and 3, 15, 11, and 2 as road favorites. And then it starts to even out on the full game for some reason. Versus left-handed pitchers, just 50% here in the first 5, 16, 16, and 4. Only 1, 3, and 2 as home dogs. 2 and 4 in the full game. And then towards the nothing really significant on the total side. Maybe a slight lean towards the over.
Take a look at Freddie Peralta total in his home starts. I think it's 10-1 to the over.
On the full season for Peralta?
For Peralta's home starts.
Oh yeah, you're right. Home favorite and home dog, 10-1 to the over.
Yeah.
That's a good look. Let's dive into that real quick. All right, so 10-1 to the over there, 7-4 in the first 5 over. I think all the totals are like 7.5. We've seen at least it's not 8.5.
Yeah, I think like only one game.
Shoot, the only one that went,
I think 7.
Yeah, the only one that went under is the one that was at 8.5.
Yeah.
So the overlook here, that makes a lot of sense to me. Dodgers getting their offense back. All right, let's go back here real quick. So let's look at last 30. So Brewers offense is, man, even it's crazy because they're still averaging 5 runs per game in the last 30. 5.5 for the Brewers. Both kind of up there with the ISO, so they got their power there. Pitching matchup. So we're gonna see the bullpen early. Dodgers bullpen hasn't been that great. Some slight negative regression for the Brewers bullpen, and then Peralta, we saw his overs at home. I mean,
yeah,
it only the over only make. I think that's the only thing that kind of makes sense, right? Well, look at this. All right, so last 30 days splits, 14-4 in the first 5, 5-1 as a road favorite, 1-6-1 here for the Brewers. Would this be? Will we just look towards the Dodgers to get up and over their team total, or what?
I couldn't talk you off of that. You also get all 9 at bats with the Dodgers. Being the road team there, you're getting Mookie Betts back. I mean, there might be a little bit of rust for Mookie, but I mean, I think the other guys can still, score runs. I'd be curious to see what the team total is with a total of
Dodgers?
8. Yeah, and pretty much a pick 'em on the. It's either 4.5 plus money or 3 heavily juiced.
3.5. 3.5 minus 140. I bet online.
God, when's the last time we saw 3.5 for the Dodgers, though?
Right? That's kind of crazy. But it makes sense. I mean, all right. So if you look at here, if we pull that stats for Peralta, right? At home, if you look towards these lower lines right here, 6, 6, 5, and 6. So he's giving it up in these spots, and then the totals, I mean, they're all low.
Yeah, he also had a start earlier this season against the Dodgers. He gave up 3 runs in 4 innings at Freddie Peralta. And that was all in the first inning, too.
All in the first inning? Same line. Total comes down to 8. What about historically? 5, 3, 4. So he actually been historically has been pretty solid against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But they they scored 5 here. I mean, how do you not take the Dodgers at this price though, right?
Yeah, it's just also the fact we don't know how long Kershaw's going to be out there and how he's going to look. But then, like you meant, the bullpen hasn't been very good for the Dodgers either. I think that's the part that would keep me off. So if you were to look at anything on this one, it would be the full game over, or would you focus in on a team total over? I think full game over. I think Brewers could get their part in this game here as well. Makes sense to me. Kind of take advantage of the bullpen that's been lacking, right? Yeah. 8. It's come down. Oh, so it opened up at 8.5, juice to the under. It's at 8.
I mean, makes sense to me. Dodgers.
The Brewers' first game at home in the series, I think they're 12-6 to the over as well.
All right, let's look at that. On the road.
Sorry, meant for the Brewers at
Oh,
home.
okay. At home, right?
Yeah.
12-6 to the over. So in these spots where they're like a dog, they're putting up their runs themselves. 7-7, 5. Okay. What about Dodgers first game of the series on the road? Just 10-9 to the over. Damn, look
It's
at
like
their
right
first
at
5.
8 though.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I probably won't be betting this one, but would definitely lean the over 8.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Did anyone bring up any games? Angels. All right, let's look up the Angels. So Blue Jays, Angels, Francis versus Daniel here, righty versus righty. Rating system slightly lean towards the Angels there. First game on the road for the Blue Jays. First game at home for a while for the Angels. Francis last 5 starts, 2 earned runs given up, 3 earned runs given up. He's been giving up home runs pretty consistently. Doesn't go too far. Sometimes reaching the 5-inning mark, and then it kind of seems like his peak right there. Not getting too far. And then Daniel missed his last start. I think this one was rained. This one was postponed, so he didn't pitch in that one. Had a pretty strong start against Colorado, but in Colorado too. Struggled against the Rangers and the A's there. He doesn't get to. Oh, he did go 8 innings on this one against Detroit, so he has the capability of getting pretty deep, but not in his last few starts. If we go full season trends, Daniel 1-4 on the full game, 1-3-1 in the first 5, 5-0 to the over for Bowden Francis.
Yeah.
4-1 to the under for Daniel. So opposites on the total. If we look at the splits versus right-handed pitchers, I mean, sort of fading the Angels, right? 30, 54, and 10 in the first 5, 40 and 54 full game. And then the splits, road favorite versus home dog, definitely on the first 5 here. You can see 10-4 versus 10, 17, and 7. Nothing really significant from a total perspective, because if you see here 52, 40, and 3 to the over, but 5 and 9 to the under as road favorites. If you look at the last 30 days, 2-0 first 5, 0-2 here. Splits on the total kind of cancel each other out. Man, this one's kind of interesting. Nothing really popping out, but if it does, then the other side kind of cancels it, right? Because this is 3-0 to the under, but Blue Jays have been an over team. If we look at the stats here, slight edge to the Blue Jays offensively, but neither team with a high barrel rate or hard hit rate right now. So they're not relying on power. If anything, Blue Jays kind of getting on base a little bit better. Angels have more speed here. If we look from a pitching perspective, this is where kind of things are the opposite. So you can see positive regression for Daniel, negative regression for Francis, and they're pretty. I mean, the numbers are pretty significant. And then Francis, his home run rate is up, but I mean, it's not like the Angels are hitting home runs at a high rate right now.
Yeah, this one was tricky. I don't want to back Francis because he gives it up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'll see the Jays. I feel like they've turned around a little bit offensively as well. I mean, I'd lean towards either a Jays team total over or a full game over, but I couldn't pull the trigger on this one. It was just it
Yeah.
wasn't enough there for me.
I mean, do you think these offenses can turn it around against these pitchers? I mean, so if you look at, so we talked about positive regression with Daniel and negative regression for Francis.
Yeah,
Blue Jays bullpen struggles here, and then there's
yeah,
also negative regression with the Angels bullpen. Would we just think over in general?
yeah. I think that the lean would be the over for me in this game, over 9.
Yeah, I think the over 9 makes sense. I mean, so why would they have a 9 up here when both of these offenses is struggling? I think they're expecting a lot of runs too. The books are.
Yeah, and it also might just be these pitchers are both bad.
Angels, Blue Jays. Okay. What time is it? All right, so we got time for a little bit. Maybe one more game, depending on
Yep.
how long we take. What's another game here? Oh, someone else is on the over 9. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
Justin was
forgot about
mentioning
the
it.
stat. I mean the chat. Rangers Red Sox. Did you look at that one?
Yeah, so it's that first game for the Red Sox at home. That's typically been a fade spot. I know they lost the first one against the Astros, obviously getting swept. The only thing that's holding me back for the Rangers side is that their starter Tyler Mahle is making his second start since coming off the IL or his season debut.
Tyler Mall.
Yeah, I think it's its second start since
Mm-hmm.
for the season. In fact, honestly,
Look at these overs in the last few starts here, or first
yeah.
game of the series at home.
I think you and I talked about like taking the opposite team's team total
Team
to go
total over.
over for like
Yeah.
the team that's visiting the Red Sox. So like
Bro, look at
Rangers team
this.
total over.
Hey, what's it? What is it? 4.5?
Yeah, I would assume so. It'd be a 4.
Because
It might
the
be
Rangers
4
are the
juiced.
dog. Well, it's 9.5. Hold on, it might be juiced. It's 4.5. 4.5. It's just 4.5. I don't think it's.
Yeah, see 4.5 minus 110.
That's a normal number. All right, so if you look at 4.5, all right, first game of the series at home, only two games where their opponent stayed under 4.5 runs. And
Was
look at
that
these
9?
numbers here in the last few: 8, 6, 9, 9, 6, 7, 7, 8. It's not. I mean, they're kind of just getting smashed in this spot.
Yeah.
Even when they win, they're giving it up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we talked about this one too the other day, right? The
This was
Astros.
the one on
Astros
Friday.
team
Yeah,
total over.
Astros. Yeah, we
Yeah,
played that.
yeah, we
Yeah.
did play that one. That's right. Man, maybe we just continue doing that, right? Let's look at the money bar real quick. So we look full season. Slight edge to the Red Sox here. They've been on the road. Second series for the Boston at home. Mal, you mentioned the second start back. Did pretty well. Only gave up 1 run.
Yeah.
He's been giving up home runs very
Brian
consistently,
Bale.
at least 1 per game.
Yeah.
3 runs, 2, 3, 3, getting up to the 6th inning mark a couple of times here. Only went 4 2/3 in the last one. Seems like he's given up at least a couple walks in the last 3 starts in a row. They have been winning here, but the overs are consistent: 14, 6 and 1, 15, 5 and 1. So that goes with the overs that we're talking about. First 5 for the Red Sox here as home favorites: 17, 6 and 4. And in general, they've been pretty. Seems like they've been pretty profitable in this spot: 43, 27 and 11 in the first 5. So if we look at last 30 days,
Which kind of tells you that the bullpen is giving it up too.
yeah, 100%. Yep, makes sense to me. 4 and 1 for Bayo here. 3 and 2s to the over. If we look at Rangers, 1 and 3, 1 and 3 as road dogs. 5-0 and 1 in the first 5 there. So Red Sox first 5 seems like a spot too. Overs in general: 12 and 7, 10 and 5. If we look at the stats here, Rangers offense hasn't been that great, but their hard hit rate is there. 40.3. So it's not like they're at the bottom of the league. So they're still able to get home runs. They're just not hitting for average right now. They're not
Yeah.
striking out either. Maybe this is some type of bad luck thing either. 'Cause, you know what I mean? Because like their
Mhm.
K rate is not as high. It's towards the bottom of the league. I mean towards the top of the league. Um, yeah, dude. Like it seems like we should just go ahead and take advantage of that. You can see Bayo 5.08 FIP, 4.45 ERA. The bullpen kind of sucks there. It just seems like Rangers team total over with the spot that it's in, right?
Yeah.
That first game home. That makes sense to me. Red Sox, Rangers team total, and it's not even that pricey.
It's not. It's just 4.5 minus 110.
Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we went through 5 games. Yeah, that's it. We don't have enough time to run it through. Let's see here. Stop the screen share. All right, real quick before we go to the top looks, I just want to shout out the moneyballer.com, obviously the site that we use today. Where you have all the stats, trends, insights, all on one easy to use page. You can see the color, the colors that pop to really just point out the positives and the negatives. I don't know, we don't usually look at the glossary. Um, on the site, during the show, but the glossary has all the definitions you need for the stats if you need help with that. Also, if you're a baller, there's a baller glossary that gives you tips on how to use the stats. So, like, when I talk about negative regression, positive regression, both offensively and defensively, those are in the baller glossary. Kind of teaches you how to use the stats in a specific way. The baller access, if you have been struggling to get onto the site, a lot of people are still kind of DMing saying that they can't get into the site is because you guys had it's because they had free access up to August 1st, and obviously August 1st has passed. Now it's it's your choice to move up to the paid subscription, either basic or baller access. If you felt like there was value to the handicapping process, obviously I use it every single day. I think Munaf, you use it every single day, not only
Yep.
just for MLB, but WNBA is back, and we have the lines in there for the 15th. I think that was that Thursday. The Thursday
Mhm.
games lines are in, are ready to go. We got the trends and all that stuff there. NFL is ready to go too. We have our beta page for the NFL. Still looking to acquire some more data to get more advanced stats onto the page. But if you have access, you can see the NFL page has all the stats and trends from last season. And then, yeah, I mean, just start, go to themoneyballer.com, sign up today. You could do a long-term access or just a 7-day trial just to try it out. With that said, let's go to the top looks here. Let's go to you first. What are your top looks for today?
Yeah, I think we talked about a couple here. RC, the Astros, full game under 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think is my favorite look, and the one we just talked about with the Rangers and Red Sox. If you want to take full game over 9.5, or just take the Rangers team total over 4.5. 17 games, 17 of the 19 opponents in that first game at home for the Red Sox have scored at least 5 or more runs. So I mean 17-2 towards their team total over. That's money to the bank there. So those are the
Mm-hmm.
two I like.
Yeah, I like those. I like those two a lot too. The other ones that we talked about, Cubs on the money line, kind of backing
Yep.
Imanaga there on the short price. And then we got you talked about the Astros Rays under 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers Brewers over 8 was also a lean. Angels Blue Jays over 9 was sort of a lean there. Kind of taking advantage of the struggling pitchers and the bullpen too.
Yep.
And then the Rangers team total over 4.5. So we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games today. I know it's a shorter show today. Normally we're at about an hour, but we both got things to take care of today. So before we cut out, I want you to talk about all the stuff that you're doing, what you got going on over with SGPN, and I know you work with other stuff too.
Yeah, SGPN, MLB gambling podcast every single day, going through every single game, with a rotation of hosts, including myself. So check us out there. We're on YouTube. or if you want to do the audio version, whether it's on Spotify, Apple. I know with WNBA back, you mentioned RC. I know Scott and Terrell are excited for that, so I think they'll probably put out a preview on or pod on Wednesday. We'll probably do some NBA stuff. I know win totals are starting to drop for NBA season as well, so maybe take some early looks there. Then I know Chris B. Captain is a frequent guest on your show, RC. Me and him are doing a prop cast specifically props for doing division preview for season player props. And then we'll be doing obviously weekly stuff for NFL and NBA as well. So busy times are ahead, man, with NFL slowly approaching or quickly approaching, I'll say, and then NBA slowly approaching as well. So it's gonna be busy, man. But appreciate you always having me on, man.
100%. Yeah, no, I know Terrell and those guys too use the site for WNBA as well.
Yep.
Actually, I mean, most of the hosts over at SGPN have access to the moneyballer.com too.
Yep.
So that's been a really great partnership with you guys over there. Yeah, with that said, guys, if you like the show, if you like the things that we talked about, how we dive into the games, make sure you guys like, subscribe, share the show on Twitter or with your friends or whatever it might be. But at the end of the show, I always have to show and end it like this. Whether you fade or follow, it's on you to make that call. Good luck with all your action. Till next time. Peace.